This war stops now.
You are tired of the war. I can see on your face.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people.
This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
Let's stop! Listen to me! Stop!
Welcome to the Stop and Listen podcast. I am your host, Jamie.
Greetings, my excellent friends.
The other day, my man, Vivek Ramaswamy was doing a town hall and had a very interesting exchange.
I'm going to sit across the table from Xi Jinping. Give you the hard questions.
LGBTQ.
What's up?
You heard me.
So, didn't hear the previous part, obviously. Says, give me some hard questions. And somebody just yelled out letters. LGBTQ. Now, I don't know why this person is such a bigot and did not include the AIP2 plus community. I don't know what they did to her, him, or Z, whatever. But I'm kind of surprised that Vivek is going to take the question of such a bigot. My goodness. But let's hear what she has to say.
I actually didn't.
LGBTQ.
Yep, what about it?
Yeah, you just said there was nothing about transgender.
Yeah, so how about this? I give you the mic, and we hear what you have to say. And then I'm going to answer you, and you'll hear what I have to say, what everybody else here has to say. Does that sound like a good deal?
I don't need a mic. Yes. I can speak louder.
Well, stand up, tell me your name, and state your question.
My name's Alexis Case, and I grew up here.
Okay.
In this town. Yeah. LGBTQ is a serious situation.
Now, I've heard his Vivek's spreads are quite nice. And that looks pretty damn good. Having a president with high standards, be it food, architecture, economy, morals, culture, anything, is probably a good idea.
World today, there are children that get bullied because they are gay, they're lesbian,
or fat, or have glasses, or have acne, or have funny hair, or have freckles, or are too short, or too tall.
they're transgender. I don't need that.
Okay, you're welcome to have it if you want.
I don't need it.
You get to ask your question, but after that, you're going to hear me give my answer. So I'll let you finish.
What is your stance on LGBTQ?
Good. Thank you for your question. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to go into a level of depth that I don't usually go into on a campaign trail, but I'm going to do it because you asked the question. You deserve an answer. LGBTQ.
Okay. You asked the question and you deserve an answer. How many, right there, do we not hear how rare that is? The politicians, they don't believe we deserve answers. Remember Hillary Clinton, why does it matter anymore when she was talking about Benghazi? She was in front of Congress. Anything. I mean, anytime these politicians are challenged with something they don't want to answer, they just disregard you. Now, where mainstream media is, if he misspeaks going forward, it could ruin his career, his presidential, his political career, presidential aspirations, or business. I mean, or business-wise, he could be toxic. No one wants to touch him. That's a leader.
Into on a campaign trail, but I'm going to do it because you asked the question. You deserve an answer. LGBTQIA. There's so many letters. They've just added a plus at the end. That's where we are now. What's going on? So the same movement, because if we're going to call that one thing, let's play it fair. The same movement that said that the sex of the person you're attracted to is hardwired on the day you're born. That was the premise of the gay rights movement, for it to count as a civil right. That movement is now saying that your own biological sex is totally fluid over the course of your life.
hypocrites.
You can't believe both those things. Well, I think I'm going to get to a deeper say. That's where I was about a year or two ago, but I think there's something deeper going on, and I'll tell you what it is. So the same movement, and by the way, let's think about the women's rights movement in this country.
Hold on.
You can't believe both those things. Well, I think I'm going to get to a deeper say. That's where I was about a year or two ago, but I think there's something deeper going on, and I'll tell you what it is.
So she's about to leave because he said hypocrites. If someone calls me a hypocrite, you better come with it. Come with receipts.
So the same movement, and by the way, let's think about the women's rights
Not gonna
movement
walk out.
in this country, which said there's many ways to be a woman. You can have long hair, short hair. You can wear a skirt. You can wear jeans. Now says that, oh, if actually you want to behave a certain way, that means you're a man. So I think that the hypocrisies go all the way down. And I'll tell you what's going on. You can't believe both of those things at the same time if you're operating according to principles of sheer logic.
See,
But you can if you're adopting a faith, a cult-like belief system. So, this is controversial for me to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think. I believe that transgenderism specifically is a mental health disorder. I believe it's a mental health condition.
he said this repeatedly. So why she's even there, if that was going to cause her to get up, is odd.
Okay.
Nobody cares what they think.
Well, no. We're going to finish this. This is good. We have to have open conversation in this country. But I don't think the
Not a
compassionate
fucking
thing to do.
mental health
See, he doesn't stop and like, whoa, hold on. Hear me out. He keeps on talking.
disorder.
Well-
It's how they fucking feel.
Well, let me.
How do they feel? How someone feels isn't reality. Not necessarily. And we are not watching this to condemn this woman or what she's standing behind or in front of or whatever. We are watching this video together because I believe what Vivek Ramaswamy has done. I think this 9-minute and 35-second video should be taught in business classes for sales, persuasion, public speaking, politics. It's quite amazing. I mean, you'll see how it ends, and I think you'll agree with me. But she's got her back. She is walking out of the room because she asked his opinion on what he thought of the LGBTQ, not concerned about the AIP plus. And he said, well, the T part of it is a mental health disorder. And he'd already said, because the preceding gay rights movement who said this is an immutable characteristics, we are born this way, you can't discriminate against us. Okay. Then, and he's laying out a logical case. We have to have these discussions. We can't continue to stop talking about religion and politics. Just stop. We can't have that. We got to move forward or move back somewhere. We can't stay stagnant in this state of our country because we are falling apart. We either need to move forward or we need to move backward. I'm not sure, but we don't want to walk away from discussions. Now, sometimes that's necessary. And maybe the real challenge is knowing when to stand and fight and when to turn and walk away.
If I'm going to give you a chance to respond if you'd like, but
No,
we can't have an open debate in this country if we're not able to state our views.
That's how they feel.
That's how they feel. And you know what? I'll tell you a story, and you deserve to hear this. I met 2 young women in this race about 6 months ago. Their names were Chloe and Katie, 2 young women. They're in their 20s now. Both of them had their breasts cut off. One of them had her uterus removed.
Okay.
They're in their 20s. They regret.
See, that's death. See, that's one thing you have to understand. That's not just... So when that happened, potential life ended in that woman who had her uterus removed. Because there was a lot of eggs in there that were disposed of with uterus. I assume perhaps they were donated. That's also possible. But uterus removed. Potential life. But not just a physical life. The potential life as a mother. As a woman who gave birth to her offspring and now is going to raise it into being a productive member of society.
decision. One of them wants to have kids. She'll never have kids. The other one will never breastfeed her children. They'll never be the same because they had that done to them when they were teenagers. So no, when a young person shows up and says, my gender doesn't match my biological sex, they're asking for help.
But you just said 20. That's not teenage.
They happened to them when one girl was 13 when it happened to her. She's in her 20s now and regrets it. This is what's wrong in this country. We will look back at this and say this was barbaric that we allowed this to happen in this country. That is not compassion. That is cruelty. And
it's cruelty. Now, it's not cruelty by our government. Our government shouldn't have sympathy for people, but we should. Because our government doesn't have a heart. We do. We have hearts. But as the sign behind Vivek reads, truth. Let's take a break here. Now, this is Cornell University's website. The flag should never be displayed with the Union down except as a signal of dire distress in instances of extreme danger to life or property. And if you don't see our country is in dire distress, then this is not the podcast for you. Furthermore, if you read more in detail, all the American flags on t-shirts and shit that then we take off, we throw it on the floor, that is against U.S. flag code. So I know a lot of ignorant people get upset about this. I love my country. That's why I'm doing this podcast, because I love my country.
so I don't think the right thing to do is, I'm not going to villainize those people. You don't villainize people who are going through suffering, but you have to be willing to say when a kid shows up and says, my gender doesn't match my biological sex, you have to be able to say, what else is going wrong at home? What else might be going wrong at school? Get to the bottom of what's going on. Help that person with compassion, with dignity. So my view is this, if you're an adult...
Right there, dignity. That is a word you don't hear enough in our society. You talk about, we hear about respect all the time. You got to respect me. Respect who I am. Respect my culture. No. I don't think you know what the word respect is. I bet you most people could not actually tell you the definition, the real definition of respect. You don't... There's no reason to run around treating everyone you come across with respect. But you do treat them with dignity. You treat them as human beings. You treat them as image bearers of God. And then, once you are, the two of you, hopefully are treating each other with dignity, you get to know each other and you find out about one another, and then you gain respect. That's how it works. You dignity first, respect later.
You're free to live your life however you want as long as you're not hurting somebody else. If you're a man, you can dress how you want. If you're a woman, you can dress how you want. Identify how you want. We're a free country and I'm not going to stop you. But kids are not the same as adults. And we have to protect our children. And I'm going to go further than that. We can't change the way that women and men compete in sports. We can't do that.
See? This woman was about to leave the discussion. And Vivek kept talking. And now she's just turned around and she wants to talk. He tried to hand her the microphone just moments ago. And now she has something to say.
Can allow you to live your life the way you want to. But we can't change the way that we operate in our own life. And I'm going to finish this thought and then you get to respond. Because I think this is good. We don't do this enough. Open debate. I love this. I think what we've had in our country before is a tyranny of the majority. And that's what we worry about. But right now, we don't have a tyranny of the majority. What we have in this country right now is a tyranny of the minority.
Exactly. So we are walking on eggshells, and we have been for years now. And that's an interesting change. I mean, our country was set up so the majority didn't. There's only so far they could go against the minority. That's why we have the Electoral College. It may always not work out like the way you want or the way I want. But if they disbanded the Electoral College, the presidential candidates would go to Los Angeles, New York, Houston, Atlanta, Chicago. That's about it. They'd stop off in Boston. Do you think any of them would ever go to Iowa? No. Now, if you're only trying to get certain cities to vote for you, you're only going to speak to those people. All your policies are going to be geared to servicing those people. And the rest of the country is left in the dark.
That's what we have right now, a tyranny of the fringe minority that tells you to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. No, we have to stand for what is true. And so I promised you will have a chance to respond. I'm going to keep my promise. You tell me. This is good. We don't do this enough in our country anymore. Open conversation. Tell me.
I was a child when I knew that I was gay. Not the fact that I wanted to change my gender, but living here in this town, I knew that I wanted, that I was a lesbian, that I was attracted to females.
And you know what's
But I had to hide it.
And when did you grow? When was that? In the 90s?
Oh, no. Let's see. I came out when I was 19, so I was born in 1983.
So I think.
So she's a year younger than myself. Once gay marriage became the law of the land, it changed things in this country, I feel, in a profound way. Because there was a great number of years in this country, and I think it was getting worse up until that point, gay kids killing themselves because of being gay. You stop hearing so much of that once gay marriage was made the law of the land, and that's a good thing. The angst that this woman feels from going through a culture, living in a culture that seemingly was pretty open-minded, but still she grew up in an area fearful to express who she was. It's unfortunate. But that doesn't, and I completely understand why she feels the way she does, but it doesn't mean we have to, as Vivek said, get on bended knee to love that. Love's not the right word. We cannot just let our culture dissolve. We need to mold it and shape it, open it up a little bit, perhaps close it in some areas, perhaps. And I'm glad to see this woman here. And I don't know. I mean, you can hear it in her voice. And I'm if this woman ever thought about killing herself when she was younger because of her feelings, I'm glad that she is standing here in 2023 at 40 years old, speaking to an Indian man running for president. That's progress. That's a lot of progress in 20 years, I think.
Where we are now, we're in a similar generation. I think things today aren't what they were. I grew up in Ohio in the 1990s, and we're in a different place today. And I think this could be a very productive conversation. I don't get to do this in the campaign trail often, where we all are in our own echo chambers and silos. So it's good for us to talk to each other. I like that. Something funny's happened, I think, in the last few years in this country with the civil rights movement. It's right when we get to closest to the promised land of true racial equality that we then start obsessing over systemic racism. It's right when we get to the point in our national history where whoever you are, you can marry who you want, where you want, if you want, whatever gender they are, that we start then obsessing over the sexual identity revolution. You know what's actually funny right now is many people who are lesbian or gay are being taught to say that, hey, if you're a woman attracted to a woman, you're not a woman, you're a man. So that's the transgender movement. The L and the G, first of all, don't have that much to do with each other. The G and the T don't have as much to do with each other. But we're clubbing all of these things up to create more division. I hate the term persons of color. You want to know why? You take 100 different cultures, combine them into one thing that's designed to be opposed to this other thing we call white. And so the way I view this is, you are free to live your life the way you wish to, as long as you don't hurt anybody else in return. And I'm free to do the same thing too. But that doesn't mean we change the way men and women compete in sports. That doesn't mean we change the way men and women. I don't think that just because you identify as a man doesn't mean that you're entitled to a trophy. You agree? Do you agree with me on that?
That's different.
You agree with me on that?
I get you. I get you.
You agree with me on that? All
I
right.
get you. That's different.
Because men shouldn't be swimming with women in women's sports competitions. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's different.
That's what I'm talking about, right? And so that's what I'm saying is it's not all the same thing, right?
See,
and
that's
so we
why
got
I did. That's the true. This video is the true depiction on why I really said, "To hell with it." I'm going to put myself on the internet and I'm going to try to get people together. He's doing this so effectively. That's what we need to strive for. Every one of us. We should all strive for a moment like this, with being completely truthful for who we are and attracting others to us who are vastly different.
Respect people and treat them with dignity. Every one of us is different. But all I'll say is kids aren't the same as adults, and if we can agree on that, then I think we at least made some progress tonight and we'll have a step forward. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I respect her for asking that. That takes courage to stand up and be the only. You know what? I'll tell you this. When you're the only person in a room, and I'll come to you next. When you're the only person in a room who believes what you do, I will always tell you, stand up and say it. That's how we're going to get this country back, is actually all of us starting to speak openly again. And that's how we're going to get this country back. And I love your shirt. She's got an American flag, so you get the next question.
Vivek Ramaswamy. That was masterful and an inspiration. So please like, subscribe, follow, comment. James Jost at Stop and Listen Pod on Twitter. That's what I'm most active on. So
all I want to know is who's coming with me? Who's coming, man? Who's coming with me? Huh? Who's coming with me, man?
I will.
thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.